interesting story. I think that's why I got asked to speak today. So in 2006, we added outreach as our newest philanthropic program. So now we had 6 programs. And with such ambitious goals, can't hear? Is that better? With such ambitious goals, we wanted to find another way to fund and expand our programs. So the chapter needed to look for another way to raise money. The Author's Brunch concept was to serve a brunch and to invite a national author and a local author to speak about their recent publications. So thus the name of the event, Authors, plural, for 2 authors, became our newest fundraiser. So our very first Authors Brunch was held in September 2006 at the University Club in Clayton with Elaine Viets as the keynote. St. Louis's very own Bill McClellan presented the program in 2007, and we were off to a great start with our new fundraiser. For years 3 and 4, we moved the venue to the historic St. Louis Women's Club. Now, this was a lovely venue where visitors would come when visitors came to the 1904 World's Fair, they were entertained in this building. So it was a very special place to hold our Authors Brunch. Charlie Brennan, a household name in St. Louis, helped to boost our attendance that year to 180, and our income from the event was $10,450. But we realized in order to make Authors Brunch a viable fundraiser, we needed to find a venue that could hold more than 200 people, and that we needed to add something else to add to our revenue. So event sponsors became part of the Authors Brunch at that point. In 2011, our very first year at the Missouri Athletic Club in downtown St. Louis, we had a sold-out crowd of 445 guests. We added opportunity baskets, and the revenue from books by the authors were sold through Left Bank Books and netted a profit of $24,500. Well, the reason we had 445 guests that year was, it's always a challenge to find and secure authors each year. But in 2011, one of our members' mother went to school with and was still in contact with Mary Higgins Clark. Well, we couldn't believe our luck when she and her daughter Carol agreed to be our presenters that year. Well, one of the most memorable Authors Brunch events for me happened the year that I was president. The event was held on April 6, 2013 at the Missouri Athletic Club. 260 tickets had been sold, and we were gearing up for the great event celebrating our 25th anniversary as a chapter. New York Times bestselling author Ferdy Umergar was to be our keynote presenter, and many of us had been diligently reading her book, The Space Between Us, in preparation for her talk. Well, you can imagine our shock when Rosie Shadwick, the event chair that year, received a call just days before the event from the agency in New York to tell us that our scheduled keynote speaker had to cancel due to a family emergency. What were we going to do? We were going to have to cancel. We just didn't know how this was going to get pulled off in such a short amount of time. But the agency assured us that they would send someone else. So we learned several days later that author, magazine editor, and television personality John Searles would be filling in for Mrs. Umergar. Well, usually the author comes in on Friday afternoon, and the committee has a chance to take them out to dinner, get to know them, they get to know Assistants League, and so incorporate something about our organization in their talk, because after all, it is a fundraiser. So we want them to be promoting Assistance League. But with John Searles, we didn't have that opportunity. We met just 30 minutes before the talk. We exchanged the usual pleasantries. I found out that John and I both grew up in a small Connecticut town and that we had even attended the same college at some point. He was much younger than I was, though. He was young, very flamboyant, and very used to New York audiences. So I took him aside and I asked him just to take a look around the room and take into consideration that this was not New York, but a more conservative Midwest audience. To say I was nervous was an understatement. As he began to talk, I held my breath. At the beginning, he was a bit reserved, but that didn't last very long. After a few off-color remarks, I was afraid to look around the room at the guest faces. But what I saw were smiles. And by the end of the talk, he had everyone laughing. He ended by taking a selfie video to send to his partner, and the audience loved him so much so that he was invited back to be our speaker the very next year. The first time we have had the same author twice. The popularity of Authors Brunch grew. We had the opportunity to hold the event at the Edward Jones Atrium for 5 years, and our attendance was consistently between 350 and 400 guests. We had such notable authors over the years as Richard Paul Evans, Terry Grieg, Ruth Reichel, and John O'Leary, just to name a few. The event provided a great way for members to bring friends and introduce them to the mission of St. Louis, and not only attracted new members, but also donors through this event as well. Well, it was April 2020. The event was all planned, the decorations were completed, Melanie Benjamin was booked and ready to come to St. Louis, and then the pandemic happened. But that didn't stop Assistance League of St. Louis from continuing the event. Melanie graciously agreed to hold the event virtually via Zoom. No tickets were required to log in to the Zoom link for the talk, so only donations were was our revenue for that year. 2021 was another virtual event, but the event chairman for each of the virtual events, Debbie McConnell and Jill Groylick, agreed to chair the 2022 in-person event. And it certainly was a celebratory event as we once again gathered together. Although it isn't our largest fundraiser, it is one that is close to the hearts of many of our members and to the members of the community. Last year's event netted $50,200. We'd certainly grown over the years. So this year's committee has been hard at work, and we hope you'll save the date of April 15th and plan to attend. Thank you.